Wide receiver position, though, that was where the surprises came. Isaiah Hodgins getting released. Now, Isaiah Hodgins, not saying that he's some sort of superstar to write home about, but during that 2022 season where the Giants exceeded all expectations, won a playoff game, he played a huge role in that and honestly looked like a competent starting receiver. So the fact that they were unable to continue to develop him last year, he pretty much got phased out of the offense, turned into a backup. First of all, red flag to the Giants coaching staff. Then he goes into the summer competing for a roster spot with Allen Robinson. The Giants cut both Hodgins and Allen Robinson, which I thought was very surprising. Not only that, they also placed Isaiah McKenzie on season-ending injured reserve. So now this Giants receiving room, to me, doesn't have a whole lot of good depth. I mean, that was the number one strength that we were talking about all summer when we were previewing the 53-man roster. I kept saying the Giants have excellent receiving depth because Isaiah Hodgins could start on several teams. Allen Robinson could start on several teams. Now their backups include Bryce Ford Wheaton, who is completely unproven, has never even played in an NFL game, and has dealt with significant injuries, and Gunnar Olszewski, who is not a wide receiver, is a kick returner and punt returner. He does not make an impact or move any type of needle from the wide receiver position. So you've got your big four. You've got Neighbors, you've got Robinson, you've got Hyatt, and you've got Slayton. Those are great. What happens when one of those guys gets injured? Am I really relying on Bryce Ford Wheaton or Gunnar Olszewski to go out there and play in a regular season football game? Thankfully, Isaiah Hodgins is back on the practice squad, but I really just don't see the rationale behind this. I get it. Bryce Ford Wheaton, he contributes well on special teams. He made a role there for himself this summer. But Isaiah Hodgins also was the Giants' best run blocking wide receiver. I thought that he had plenty of value in that facet of the game. So I don't really get this decision. Not crazy about it. Again, I don't want to blow it up and make it like the end of the world because we are talking about WR5/6 here. But still, when you're looking at the roster takeaways, that was the biggest surprise to me and probably the move that I'm most critical about.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up first because I thought the wide receiver room was the first thing that jumped out to me with the New York Giants. I like their top four: Neighbors, Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton. I think that is a really good unit. But after that, as you rightfully pointed out, it gets very, very weak very quickly. Bryce Ford Wheaton is a question mark. You have no idea what he's going to be, and they kept Gunnar Olszewski to be their returner, which is fine. But I almost wonder why, like, if you're going to carry him, he's essentially not a wide receiver. It's just another special team guy. So really, you have five wide receivers. Why not carry a seventh, technically, if Gunnar Olszewski is going to slot in here and have Isaiah Hodgins make the roster? Because as you mentioned, once again, in 2022, he at least looked serviceable with Daniel Jones, and they had, a connection. And, him as wide receiver 5 instead of one of the starting 2 or 3 is a really big difference. I just don't understand Joe Shane's philosophy with how he decided to build out that room.
I'm with you. I don't see the philosophy either. And again, I think that selling point of Hodgins being their best run blocking wide receiver, I think that was a point that didn't get discussed enough and really should have been more of a reasoning to keep Isaiah Hodgins. Like, that's a very underrated thing. I don't trust Malik Neighbors necessarily as a run blocker. Definitely don't trust Wan'Dale. Definitely don't trust Jalen Hyatt. Darius Slayton is okay in that regard, but I don't know. I think that's just an underrated facet of the running game and the rushing attack there. But